When we talk about girls, there are certain things you must do, and others you should absolutely avoid. Since the beginning of this series, I've been telling you what you should do. But even if you're as charming as Brad Pitt, if you make the 10 mistakes I'm going to talk about in this video, you'll never see that girl again. Let me tell you a story to make this crystal clear. Pay close attention, because this guy made all 10 mistakes. Try to identify them, and never, ever make them again. A young man was sitting in a park when he noticed a very attractive young woman reading a book on a nearby bench. As soon as he saw her, he told himself he should go talk to her. However, when he actually considered approaching her, negative thoughts began flooding his mind, making him hesitate. He froze, and before he could do anything, the young woman closed her book and walked away. He stayed there, frustrated, angry at himself for missing the opportunity. But he wasn't ready to give up. After thinking it over, he realized she seemed to visit the park regularly. Determined to speak to her, he decided to come back the next day and approach her. The next day, as expected, he saw her in the same spot. But just like the time before, when it came time to make the first move, he froze again, paralyzed by fear. He just stood there, watching her from afar, unable to take a step forward. This pattern repeated itself for several days. Each time he told himself, this is the day, but every time, he ended up frozen in place, watching her walk away. Eventually, after about a week, he managed to push himself to walk over to her. Nervously, he approached the bench where she was sitting, pretending to be interested in the book she was reading. He mumbled a few words and awkwardly asked, "Is that book good?" The young woman looked up, smiled politely, and answered, "Yes, it's one of my favorites." Encouraged by her response, he tried to continue the conversation, but his nervousness made him clumsy. He could barely form a coherent sentence, and after a few uncomfortable minutes, she politely excused herself and left. Despite the awkwardness, he was encouraged by the fact that she didn't immediately reject him. So he returned to the park the next day, hoping to build on their previous conversation. But each time he tried to engage her, his anxiety took over. The conversations remained short, strained, and he struggled to keep her interests. Still, he kept coming back, desperate for another chance to impress her. After many days of persistent effort, he finally managed to persuade the young woman to go out with him. However, what followed was a complete disaster. They went out a few times, but by then the young man had become increasingly attached to her. His feelings grew stronger, as did his insecurity. Instead of visiting the park once, he began going several times a day, hoping to see her. His thoughts were consumed with whether she liked him, and his emotions swung wildly depending on how much attention she gave him that day. Eventually, overwhelmed by his own confusion, he decided the only way to deal with his feelings was to confess them. One afternoon, after yet another brief and awkward conversation, he blurted out, "I really love you, and I'd like to take you out somewhere one day." The young woman looked surprised, but after a moment she replied, "I'm flattered, but I really see you just as a friend. I don't want to ruin that." Her response left him even more confused and discouraged. He thought maybe he hadn't tried hard enough, so he kept pursuing her. But every time he brought up the idea of going out, she gently but firmly refused, insisting that she valued their friendship. Over time, she began to distance herself. She spent less time in the park, and when she did come, she seemed preoccupied, no longer engaging in their brief conversations. One day he decided to call her and asked why they weren't talking as much. When he brought it up, she said she'd been really busy and had a lot to deal with, but they could catch up another time. However, that moment never seemed to come. So, where did this young man go wrong? If you look closely at the situation, you'll see that he showed several traits of a low-value man, which ultimately sabotaged his chances with the young woman. Here are some of the mistakes he made. Before we go on, let's try to get this video to 5,000 likes. I hope you've subscribed. The mistakes he made. He put the young woman on a pedestal just because of her looks. High-value men never give too much importance to a girl simply because she's beautiful. This is the most important mindset you must develop in your personality at any cost. Never show a woman that you find her too beautiful. Let her know that you don't really judge by appearance, but by personality. Because good looks are easy to find, but character is rare. The moment you act this way around them, you'll instantly earn the label known as that special, different guy. And that, my friend, is exactly what most women are looking for in a potential partner. 2. He agreed with everything she said just to keep her comfortable. This is another horrible idea society has hammered into the male brain. Complimenting a woman doesn't mean she like you. Agreeing with her on everything just gives off weak energy. It makes her feel like you're trying to get her approval or permission. If you always play by her rules and agree with everything she says, you're indirectly communicating that you don't know how to earn her recognition, and you fear that disagreement might work against you. You're also showing that you don't see yourself as good enough, which makes you scared of losing her. And that, my friend, is something we see everywhere. A regular guy manages to start a conversation with a beautiful girl. Millions of thoughts flood his mind. He starts to fear saying the wrong thing. Then, when nothing comes to mind, his anxiety spikes, and he starts asking boring questions like, "What do you do for a living?" He thinks whatever she says I'll just agree. To avoid upsetting her, I don't want to sound rude. A few minutes later, the girl's thinking, this is so boring. How do I get out of this? She comes up with a lame excuse like, excuse me, I need to use the bathroom, and never comes back. As you can see, this can get scary when you don't know what's going to happen next. And it's this fear that leads many guys to believe the myth that women hate men who disagree with them. Women want a challenge, and you will never be a challenge if you agree with them on everything. 3. He desperately sought the girl's approval and acceptance. This attitude only added fuel to his insecurity and pushed the girl away. A high-value man never seeks a girl's approval or her acceptance. The moment a girl realizes you're trying to get her approval, she's instantly turned off. Sometimes in just seconds. Always remember, attraction is not something she controls. Seeking approval is a strong attraction killer, and she will never show genuine interest in you. As long as she senses that you are chasing her validation, there's actually a way to avoid this problem. Don't talk too much. I keep telling you this because it's really important. In my experience, when someone is talking to a girl and ends up being the one who talks the most, he starts focusing on himself. He tries to convince her that he's the best guy she could ever find. It's something that happens automatically, without you even realizing it. That's why you should let her do most of the talking and always make the conversation about her. Try to make her the center of the conversation and take yourself out of the equation. This way you'll avoid the trap of approval seeking altogether. 4. He made it clear that he wanted her from the very beginning. This is a very important idea, because I constantly see guys make this mistake. You have to make sure you don't tell a girl how you feel about her too early in the relationship. And you definitely shouldn't be the first to say I love you. Here's why. The moment you share your true feelings too soon, she tends to go through a strange process where she feels like she's already won you. She thinks, okay, I've got him, now what? The tension and attraction you built by showing her value traits are destroyed instantly. Now you're not that hard to get anymore. And since we've already talked about the fact that women can control who they're re-attracted to, they simply want to be able to feel anything for you once they know for sure that you're re-into them. The only way to manage this properly is to keep them guessing and keep them unsure. This means never tell a woman whether you're interested in her or not. As long as she has to guess what's going on in your mind, attraction will remain alive. 5. He tried to solve her problem. Another major mistake guys make is trying to solve the girl's problems. This, by far, is the biggest mistake most guys make. When it comes to dealing with women, a woman doesn't want you to solve her problems, at least not in the way you might think. The moment you start solving her problems, you're instantly placed in the provider zone, which also means you're like a big brother trying to take care of her. Listening to her problems is one thing, but solving them for her is something else entirely. When you do that, you're doing the work for her, which again communicates low value. In the end, she sees someone she can run to during emotional crises, but she never sees a lover. The way men see this and the way women see it are completely different. Men feel like real men when they come to her rescue, but in her world, you're just another nice guy trying to lend a hand. Women don't share their problems with you because they're really looking for solutions. They just want you to listen. What they want from you is to be a good listener, and nothing more. Trust me, women have their own ways of dealing with their issues, so don't try to fix everything for them. 6. Don't act too disinterested. If you've been following this series from the beginning, or if you're someone who studies the dynamics of attraction, you're probably doing something that a lot of guys do. They think it as important to act disinterested around the woman. But many of them don't really understand the difference between being disinterested and being rude. The right way to do it is to show some interest at first, and then a little bit of disinterest later, but never complete disinterest. A lot of guys act so indifferent that it's almost like they're saying, go away, I don't care, and a girl won't stay around for long. If you keep showing that kind of coldness, what this really means is you need to show her that you're re-interested. But that doesn't mean you're going to chase her for attention. The pattern should be a line that shows interest, followed by a line that shows just a bit of distance. For example, you look cute in that dress, but pink would have looked better. See that? In that one sentence, you showed both interest and a hint of disinterest. By telling her she looks cute in the dress, you gave her active attention. But by saying a pink one would have been better, you gave just the slightest push. Some guys mess this up completely. They'll say something like, that dress doesn't suit you, you should have tried pink. That sentence shows disinterest twice, and honestly, it just comes off as rude, because now you've directly insulted her. 7. Never discuss your problems with women. One of the fastest ways to kill attraction is to start talking about your problems, your worries, your stress. With a woman, you should be strong enough to handle your issues on your own. What women want to see is you overcoming your problems, not just complaining about them. By sharing your personal issues with a woman, you're indirectly telling her that you're not strong enough to deal with life by yourself, that you need her help or her sympathy to feel okay. Another big mistake, telling her about your insecurities. Never, ever tell a woman what you're bad at, how many failures you've had, or how you're still struggling in life. All that does is paint a dull, unattractive picture of you, and attraction vanishes instantly. Now, that doesn't mean you can never mention your flaws, but if you do, there's only one way to do it properly. You laugh at yourself. You joke about it. You say it in a light-hearted, humorous way, showing that you're not trying to impress her, and you don't care about her judgment. That, ironically, raises your value, because it shows this is something we'll talk more about in one of the upcoming episodes of this series. 8. Never give a direct yes to us. Never be too easy for a woman. A lot of guys fall into the yes-man trap, always saying yes, 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 even when deep down they don't want to. You've got to make her work, even a little bit, to get a yes from you. For example, if she says, "Let's go shopping today," don't just say, "Okay." Say something like, "Nope, first we're watching a movie, then we can go shopping." You see, never give a straight yes to fast. Either set a few conditions first, or make her ask again, or tease her a little before you agree. Now, it's important to say this only applies to casual or unimportant requests. If she's sick and she says, "Please take me to the doctor," you don't say, "Wait a few hours, babe. I'm watching football." Don't do that. Be playful with random requests, not serious, urgent ones. 9. Don't let her make you angry or upset. If a woman can make you angry or upset, then guess what? You're not in control. If her actions can make you react emotionally, then she's the one driving the situation, not you. Yes, sometimes a girl will say things that are harsh or mean, but you should never respond by exploding or losing your cool. Be like a rock in the middle of a storm. Act like nothing touches you, no matter what. Most of the time, a woman might just be testing you. She wants to see how you'll react in extreme situations. If you blow up, like she expected, then you failed the test. And trust me, that's a very important topic we'll cover in a separate video. 10. Don't reveal everything about your past, especially the painful parts. Telling someone your entire past is like opening up every hidden page of your life. Every scar, every hardship, every personal moment. Your past, especially the painful parts, is deeply private. It's the story of how you survived, how you kept going, how you grew. It's not something to share for the sake of attention, or sympathy, or curiosity. Talking about every secret you've lived through is like revisiting old wounds. And now, you become vulnerable to being hurt or even used. Keep your deepest truths safe, deep inside yourself. Not everyone deserves access. Only reveal what's necessary and protect what's essential. That's how you stay strong. That's how you protect yourself. Don't lower your guard just for someone else's comfort. Be careful who you trust. Your life story belongs to you, and it's not for others to consume or play with, by the way. Remember that story I told you earlier? That old story? It was mine. That guy was me. So please, don't be like I was. I hope you've subscribed. Now, there's one very important thing to do. Once you've stopped making these 10 mistakes, I reveal it in this video. Try it and you'll come back here to thank me.